Hey everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to use a different product together with mixed media, something I rarely use, sometimes I do, and I also want to have a look at that Marie pastel set with 70 pastels. And I've just opened it, and what I immediately recognized was that there are so many colors that look quite similar. There are two layers in this box, and the first one looks quite bright to me with tons of oranges and greens and so similar at the first sight. And the other half has some neutral colors, I would say, and a few blues and some gray shades. I'm recognizing some colors immediately that I am sure I would love using. I use pastels a lot in my sketchbook for sketching, and I like neutral and light tones like the one underneath that blue I'm putting back. It's also a really lovely color. And that's something else I'm recognizing. There are not many light colors in this set. You get two whites and two blacks. And I also got that swatch book, which I find is a really nice thing to have. I don't know how many sheets are in there. Might be 12 or no, I think there might be 30. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure we can read it at the cover, and I will write it in the description or maybe put a note here on screen. And there are also translucent papers in between, so nothing will smudge. And now I'm going to swatch the pastels for you so you see how they are looking on paper. And I think it's watercolor paper in this swatch book. It feels like some kind of watercolor paper. If you're not interested in the swatching of the pastels, you can move forward to the actual process, and there is the capitals of the video are in the video. So I think if you are moving the the play button or the play line, you can move to the start of the creative project today. I'm going to make some index cards, and I'm going to create some interesting texture with these pastels. When I work with soft pastels, I really like the technique to mix them with water. I also like them dry to put down a big area of color, but when you're using them, or when you are able to use them with water, you can create some really interesting textures. And not every soft pastel is going to work with water. At this stage I haven't tried them with water, so I will do this after I did the swatches. That's something that's important for me, that this is possible. I will now fast forward the swatching a bit because it takes quite a while to swatch 70 pastels, so you don't get bored. From the application of the soft pastels, they are very smooth and soft, but you get also a lot of dust. I think it's a lot more than with other brands I have. And what I also can recognize, that there are so many colors that are so similar. I think you never need these close tones. Some are really just like the others. So I think the tonal range is not very good in this set. You need some more lighter tones of a color and some more darker ones, and that's what I'm missing. Also the reds, there are so many similar ones. Also some of the pastels are more hard than others, but that's quite normal. It depends also on the pigments. If you have a scratchier soft pastel or if it's more soft. I'm recognizing this also with very expensive brands. So that's something you can't blame the manufacturer for, I think. In general, most of them are very soft, and I will later blend them with my fingers, and they blend very smooth on the paper. Also, what I'm recognizing that the greens are, there's almost no green, maybe just that dark green here on the page that I would like to use. The others look not natural to me, but I'm a bit picky when it comes to greens. And that's the reason why green is I have so many greens in every kind of medium. So I have many green pencils, many green crayons, many green paints, because I always try and test because I'm searching for that perfect green. But in the end, it's always a mix of greens, and then I'm happy with them. Here you could see the dust that came off. Yeah. I'm now interested in that second half of the pastels because they have more natural colors in there. And there are also some blues I really like because they are not so bright. Some of them are a little bit dirty, and that's something I really like using. Especially that next blue, it's one of my favorite colors. Also that green, love it. The next green also is a very pretty green. And also that brownish greens are very nice, I think. Another orange, I think that should be a burnt sienna maybe, but it does not look like a burnt sienna. You get some, I would say this should be raw siennas and yellow ochre. The brown tones are also very nice, I think. And you get some gray shades. I'm swatching them here. I also would have loved to have some more lighter neutral tones in there. The first two grays I've swatched in this line are very pretty, but I think they would be nice in a lighter color. You also get some neon colors, and I'm swatching these here at the end. I am not a pastel artist, so I will not do all the tests with you, whether you can layer those. I'm pretty sure they will blend because they you can smooth them out very good with your fingers. But I use pastels, I would say, maybe in a bit of a different way. I like to use them with mixed media in my sketchbook just to bring in some texture on the background, to lay down a big block of color. And sometimes I also like to use them for my kind of crafty mixed media projects, because you can create some really nice textures when they mix with water. And some pastels are built more of a resist when you go on top with water, but some mix quite nice. I have some from Craftelier which are gorgeous with water, and from Schminke, but of course the price point is different. I really like the pigmentation of these pastels. I think they are not weak. They are really nice, and I like the second layer much better than the first one. And I just would have wished that they would make more different tonal values of their colors. I will take some photos of these and put them on the blog so you can have a closer look at them. I'm now picking colors that I will probably use on my index cards that I'm creating. I want to make some kind of an autumnal project, and that's the reason why I pick autumnal colors. What I also recognize, there are no numbers on the pastels. There are some Chinese names or numbers on them, but not in the European version. So you don't have a number that you can read. And so it's a bit difficult to find the colors, and that's also the reason why I haven't noted down any names of them, because I just couldn't find a number. There is something printed on the outside box, and there's also no number noted down, and the written stuff on the pencil, on the crayon itself, or on the pastel itself, is so small that I cannot read it. A quick test on the last page in my holiday sketchbook. If these will mix with water, I'm really curious to see what happens. And I'm just taking a random green here, and I apply it to my paper and then go in with some water. What I really love about this technique is that you get some kind of granulating effect with the pastels, and it gives you a really interesting and not so controllable texture, which I really like for landscapes, or for if I'm painting or drawing animals for the fur, because it just it does its own thing, and I think that's really nice. Also for trees, it's a really nice technique. Just quickly, I want to share with you how it's different to an expensive pastel. This is the Sennelier pastel. It's more pigmented, definitely, but price-wise, it should be that way. And they mix a bit better with the water. You can see everything dissolves, it moves around, whereas the Marie soft pastels, the marks are more on the paper. But sometimes that's also something that I really like to have when I create landscapes, for example. Unfortunately, I forgot to put that pastel that on camera, so you can't see everything. This is a Paul Rubens soft pastel, which also works very nice with water. And the more water you add, the more you can move those pigments around, and that will give you that granulating effect. Also, the pastels set a bit with the water, but you still need some fixative. This is from Rembrandt, a cheaper pastel, and there you also can see the leftover marks on the paper with this one. And it's also not as strong as the expensive pastels. Now let's start with the index card project. I'm using 2 white with a grit texture, and I'm starting out with some bits of collage, so I have some interest underneath the color later, and I'm just adhering this with my Tombow glue stick. I have some old book paper and just something from my little boxes with the smaller pieces, so I get rid of them. I'm speeding up this part a little bit because my video is still quite long, and as I told you, YouTube does not like very long videos, or maybe the viewers don't like long videos and then they don't watch it very long, and then it's just not good for the channel. I've recognized that. And I also think if it's too long, you might get bored, because I'm just gluing down some papers here. I also used some stamped book pages that I have. I often stamp old book paper with acrylic paint because that gives a bit more of dimension compared to stamping ink, and it's also a bit more intense. And if you are creating collages for paintings, it's also light fast. So yeah, and if you're stamping with acrylic paint, just clean your stamp right away so the paint does not dry on it. As I'm only working with a glue stick, I need to prep the paper afterwards and secure the pieces, and I'm going to cover them with a layer of clear gesso. The clear gesso has some grip to it, which also will work great with the pastels. After my cards are dry, I almost forgot to press record. I'm glad I noticed it right away. I put down some of that raw sienna pastel and moved the pigments around with water. And next I'm coming in with that green shade I picked. It's a very lovely natural green. And I also add a little bit of red. It's also kind of a warm brownish red, a little bit. It's perfect for autumn, I think. I use quite a lot water so I can move the pigments and create some interesting textures. I let these dry, and now I'm coming in with a black pastel just to bring in more grunginess. I really like that grungy look together with autumnal colors. I was able to make some splatters with a leftover black pigments that I had in my brush. I felt that the red on the right card is a little bit weak, so I'm coming in again to bring in a little bit more of that pigment. I sprayed the cards with a fixative and let those dry. They are a little bit darker in a tone now. That's normal when you spray pastels with a fixative. And now I'm going to add some background stamping for a bit texture on the background. And I'm using a script stamp together with a StayZone ink, and I'm just dipping the cards onto the stamp. If you're using a fixative, make sure to use it before you use StayZone ink, because it will bleed if you have it already on your background and then spray it with fixative. I'm also using a number stamp to bring in even more interest, and these stamps are from our Mix It Up number 6 stamp set. I searched for my collage folder, and what I also found were some autumnal leaves that I made last year, I think. And these are made with our autumn leaves stamp set, and I think they are stamped twice with water soluble inks. And with the first layer I blended the ink, then let that dry and stamped another layer with a darker ink on top, so I get that layered effect. There should be a tutorial anywhere on our shop blog. If I can remember, I will try to find it and link that up. But maybe you can just jump over and go to the tags on the blog. There you will find all the stamp sets listed. And if you're clicking on that stamp set, Autumn Leaves, you should be able to find the information how these leaves are made. And I think they are matching perfectly the colors I have on the background, and that's the reason why I'm using them. I picked 2 for each card, and I'm going to combine this with some words that I have made with our Mix a Sentiment stamp set. I think words are a nice style element, not only that you can read something. I also think visually it looks quite pleasing if you have a design combined with some words. I'm using some wet glue to adhere the leaves. They are quite heavy because they are on thick watercolor paper, so it needs a bit of pressure to glue them down. So I'm laying down my acrylic block just to make sure they don't come off. Later I have to press them a little bit more with my fingers because of that heavy paper. It just needs that. I'm now going to adhere the words. I have them embossed in white to black cardstock and cut them out. I have a box of these, so usually I always find something to be used. Over the time I collected a lot of these words. The Mix a Sentiment set is out of stock at the moment, but we will reorder it and it should be available by the end of October. Yes, and that's it for today. I'm sharing 2 photos of the cards so you can have a close look at them. You will also find a blog post where I have the photos and the swatches uploaded, and I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope you will see us next time. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.